All right, folks, English 10 live session 4. Today it's March 6th, 2013. Thanks. Happy TCAP week. Hope things are going well for you. Along with that, I know it's a lot of work to sit through those tests all day and then have more school stuff kind of on and off throughout the week. So like I said, thank you for your hard work and perseverance with that. Hey, I'm back. Here I am, Mr. Macy. I still exist. Guys, I missed you. I miss kind of being out of the game here, away from the action, and I'm excited to be back. I hope that it comes through clear to you. I love teaching. I love what I do, and it's good to be back. So thank you for your hard work while I was away. Lots of good news from the sub, Ms. Kip, about great stuff you were doing in class, particularly with the Unit 6 videos. A lot of people coming from behind and catching up on work, so awesome job with that. Awesome job in catch-up week. I've really enjoyed some of those course and self-evaluations, and looking forward to more. So here we are, Unit 7, the debate unit. It's a good one. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a neat time to practice some of your argument skills, building an argument, looking at an argument from both sides, and then really bringing it together in a formal debate sort of setting. I've got a couple pictures up here from The Great Debaters. Cool movie, came out, gosh, I don't know the year. I guess it's been a few years ago now. If you haven't seen it, maybe check it out. It's Denzel Washington, of course, plus a number of very talented young actors. Story about a debate team and some of the things that they go through. So you may want to check it out. Pretty interesting one, and really connects directly to what we are doing right now in class. So let's see. Before we hop into action, any questions? Anything that's just kind of on your mind or you're curious about at this time? Ooh, good question, Lila. Is it on Netflix? I don't know. Give it a search. I'm not sure. I saw it. Gosh, I think I may have seen it in the theater. So I don't know if it's on Netflix, but check it out. Definitely worth watching, and it's a good one. So let's hop into the agenda here. Guys, like I said, as always, it's good to see you, whether you are here live or you're watching this sometime later on. I appreciate your hard work and sticking with this. Hey, keep in mind, we've got this week and then 2 more weeks, and then it's spring break. I mean, the year is cranking by quickly. If you're doing well, keep it going. Keep in mind that you got that whole week break coming up relatively soon. And if you're behind, keep in mind the time is passing. You know, it's really becoming a very important priority to catch up and kind of get with the game here. Hey, Josh, welcome. Josh, how you been? Are you coming through okay? Cool. Josh, good to have you along. Hope things are going well for you. Josh, you just missed a quick introduction about the debate unit. As you've probably seen, Unit 7, Session 1, we start the debate unit this week. Really starting it up today. So good to see you, like I said. Awesome job on catch-up week. Awesome job on the videos, the advertisement videos for Unit 6. Really enjoyed looking at some of those, guys. I appreciate your hard work and perseverance with it. And I know sometimes when you're creating those videos, sometimes there's some challenging tech issues. If you're still experiencing some of those, get in touch with me, okay? Get in touch with me as soon as we can, and let's figure that out together so that you can get your project submitted so that you can get credit for it, okay? I'm still willing to take it and to help you with those issues. So if you're having any kind of frustrations, get in touch with me and please, please, please let me help you out with that. All right, like I said, Unit 7. We start today and it goes through April 9th. So, really, that's 4 weeks of school with spring break in there. And spring break, of course, guys, my goal for you on spring break is take a break. You know, enjoy family time, go on a vacation, play some sports, get outside, you know, rest, watch movies, whatever it is that you need to do to refuel. I want you to do that over spring break. And in order to be ready to do that, work hard now so that you can be all caught up going into spring break. Then you can enjoy that time. That's really my goal for you. On the other hand, if you are behind, if you have work to do, spring break can be a good time to spend a little bit of time and catch up on stuff that should have been done previously. As always, if you need to, get in touch with me, make a plan about that. We'll figure it out. Let's see. So what are we going to do during this unit? And probably no need to take notes on this slide, but on the next slide, we're going to review some ethos, logos, and pathos stuff, and I do want you to take notes on that. Basically, in a nutshell, this unit, first we're going to start by examining debates and learning more about the debate genre. So in other words, what does it mean to have a debate? How do you prepare a written argument for a debate, and what do those arguments look like? You will then, as time passes, you will choose a certain debate issue. So you'll choose a question, and you'll need to create your own arguments around that question. You're going to create arguments for both sides of the question. So you're going to create an affirmative argument, in other words, like a yes argument. You're also going to create what's called the negative argument, so the argument for the other side of the issue, or kind of the no answer to the question. And then you're also going to create a speaking component. So you're going to take one of the sides of your argument and create a speech around that will be shared with the class, so maybe through an audio or a video recording. So that's kind of how it goes. And keep in mind, those things right there, that's what's going to happen like during that first week of April. So basically a month from now. You're not doing that right off the bat. You're going to have plenty of steps to build up to that, to do your research, to formulate your arguments. But that's what we're going to do eventually. And so like I said, you know, it's a lot to do, but take it step by step and you'll stay on track and ask questions. As always, the assignments are broken down into little segments. Ask me questions along the way, and we'll figure it out. Let me pause for just a sec. Any questions about that kind of stuff as far as kind of what's coming up? Alrighty, looks like we are looking good here. Keep rolling. So this week, session one out of 4. What are we doing? Well, we've got another one of those prelude assignments. So basically, kind of exploring the genre. Pretty straightforward. You've seen this one other time so far. That's fairly self-explanatory. We've got a little ethos, logos, and pathos. So we've seen this before. We're coming back to it here, and we're going to apply these terms to some example debates. On the next slide here, I'm going to be doing a quick review of ethos, logos, and pathos, just so those are fresh in your mind. And then finally, we've got a discussion. As always, kind of stagger that throughout the week. Fairly straightforward. That also relates to those example debates. And we've got some notes on building a case. After the next couple slides, as always, we'll do a quick kind of preview of what's coming up in the session. Any questions about any of that stuff? All right, looks like we are looking pretty good. So let's, if we can, let's go with a quick review of ethos, logos, and pathos. So we've seen these before. We saw these in the persuasion unit, right back there in Unit 6. And what really we're looking at here, if you look at the upper right, is you can think about this as kind of a rhetorical triangle. So all three of these things, the ethos, logos, and pathos, all three of those elements come together to make an effective argument. They all contribute to what's known as rhetoric, and that's really just the art of argument. If you want to have strong rhetoric, that means just to have strong argument. So please get ready to take notes. These are the notes that you need to take for this live session, and keep these handy because, like I said, these will be helpful to you as you are going through the assignments this week, especially the one about analyzing rhetorical elements of the example debates. So first one, ethos. As you may recall, and for those who are live right now, please feel free, as always, interrupt me anytime. Okay, that's why I'm here. That's why you're here. So ethos, in a nutshell, it's based on the speaker and or the writer. So if this is someone delivering a verbal speech, think about like the president's inaugural address, that would be a speaker. Or if you're thinking about it like a written essay, it would be based on the credibility of the writer. And like I said, the way that it is based on the speaker or the writer is based on that person's credibility. So in other words, it answers the question, why should I listen to you? That's what the audience would say about ethos. Well, let's say President Obama, or well, Mr. Macy, why should I listen to you? Well, student, why should I listen to you when I'm reading your paper? So that's what the ethos is. And you'll think about in a debate, how could you build your ethos? How can you make yourself someone worth listening to? Well, there's a number of things involved. If you're actually giving a physical debate, let's say if we were in a classroom and you're going to speak for the whole class, it would probably be looking professional, delivering your speech in a professional way, having strong articulation, having eye contact, all those kind of things that we talk about with public speaking. In the recorded speech that you do, those same kind of things go in there. You probably want to, make sure you don't have bedhead. Make sure that you have some kind of respectable clothes on. Make sure that you're delivering it, again, in a professional way. If you're just doing the audio, try to make the delivery as smooth as possible. It also has to do with the person's level of research. Are you worth listening to because you've done research on the topic, because you've become an expert in some degree? Credibility can also have to do with titles, for example. If we go back again to the president or the Queen of England or someone who has a certain title, that title gives them some kind of credibility. It's going to make people listen. Pause for a sec. Any questions about ethos? Is that helping to clarify things a little bit from before? Cool. Looks like we're looking good. Rolling forward into logos. When I think of logos, I just think of logic. Logos, logic, they sound familiar. So this is the piece of argument that's based on logic. It's based on the part of the brain that deals with reason, if you will. So we can think of, okay, what are the facts or figures or data that support an argument? If you think about writing a paper, or in this case, writing one side of your debate argument, this is where research comes in, right? So you go out and you do some research, find some facts and bits of information from credible sources, and those are what back up your argument. In many cases, you may be able to effectively verbalize a fairly strong argument about something, but if you don't actually have facts and figures and data and things from legitimate outside sources, your argument is not going to be very strong. This logos, this logic, is very important. And if you think about the audience, it really answers the question from the audience. Okay, what are the compelling reasons? In other words, what's the meat and potatoes of this argument? Why is it significant? What's going to sway me? So that's what we're talking about with logos. And again, the reason that I'm going through all of these, and the reason that we're closely analyzing example debates for these particular elements, is when you're putting your own debate together, this is going to be crucial. If you want to have an effective debate, you need to, or an effective argument as part of a debate, you really need to hit on all three of these things. And really, guys, I would recommend, let's say, if you're trying to get something from your parents, or you're trying to make an argument to a friend or whatever, hit on all three of these things, and you'll probably have a pretty solid argument. All right, last but not least, pathos. As you may recall, this is really the emotional appeal, the emotional side of an argument. When I think about pathos, I always kind of think of the TV ads that you see, like for the Humane Society or for a puppy shelter or something like that, where you see these pictures of these sad-looking puppies in small cages, and they're trying to get you to donate money or adopt a dog or something, and they just tug at your heartstrings. You think, oh my gosh, if I don't donate money right now, I'm a terrible person, right? They just really pull you in. So that's the pathos, or the emotional appeal, where it pulls in at your heartstrings. And it really kind of answers the question, why should I care? Why is this issue important to me, or important to the people I care about? When I think about pathos in a debate, this is a good place to interject stories or anecdotes. Try, maybe it's at the beginning of your argument, you're starting with some kind of a really compelling or touching story about a person or whatever. That's one way to really hit on the pathos, or the emotional appeal. So there we have it, guys. Hopefully that's a fairly simple explanation of these three really central concepts. I mean, we talked about this before in live sessions and then in the curriculum. These concepts identified by the Greeks really still existing today and creating effective arguments. Let me pause again for a sec. Any questions about those? Cool. Looks like we're looking pretty good. So again, in that assignment where you're analyzing ethos, logos, and pathos in those example debates, your goal is going to be, okay, I'm going to read this affirmative argument, and let's see where did the writer use ethos, where did they use logos, and where did they use pathos. In a nutshell, you'll be looking for those examples as part of practice and using those things in your own writing. All right, let's do one more quick slide, and then we'll get into a real quick preview of the curriculum. So I'm just going to read these real quick. This is basically what are the outcomes of the debate unit. So I kind of touched on these earlier, but I've just copied this from the session, so you can find this in Schoology as well. You're going to write a researched argument of 2 to 3 pages on the affirmative side of the issue, and then you're also going to write a separate argument on the negative side of the issue. And I think this is pretty cool to look at an issue, and you personally you may side more strongly with one side of the issue or the other. But what you're doing here is you need to be able to articulate the argument on both sides of the issue. If you go to a debate, for example, like if someone's on the high school debate team or something, which I've never done, but I wish I would have. It's a pretty neat thing to do. If you go to a debate, I believe that you don't know ahead of time if you're going to argue affirmative or negative. So you have to be ready to argue both of them. So again, that's what you'll be writing out, is an argument on both sides of the issue, kind of two separate arguments. And then you'll also be doing the speaking part of the debate. And what that involves is you need to make a recording of you reading both sides of your issue. So or both sides of your argument, right? So you write those arguments, and then the speaking part is a recording of you reading those. So you got a few choices. It could just be an audio recording, like most computers have a simple program called Recorder or Voice Recorder. You just hit record and you start talking and it records it. So you can just do the audio. You could also do a short video recording, kind of like I'm doing here. If you have a camera, and we can talk about different programs to use that. So you can set it up with a camera, or if you want, you can make what I call a dynamic video, kind of like what you made for Unit 6, where you have your voiceover on top of some images or some video or something else that you get from online or create yourself. So you can do any of those three. Any of them is fine with me. None of the options is worth more points or anything. But in one way or another, you'll be sharing your arguments in a spoken format. And then there's also a recording feature in the discussion board that we may be able to get to work, possibly to record that. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And like I said, what you see on this slide, this is what you'll be turning in on approximately April 9th. So you got plenty of time. Don't be stressed out about it or anything. We've got lots of little steps. I just want to kind of let you know what we are moving towards in the future. Any questions about any of that? Cool, looks like we are looking good. Let me share the screen with you here, and we'll run through, as always, just kind of a quick preview of the class. Alrighty, here we go. So as always, you land on the updates page. Please make sure you check out these updates. If you haven't checked this out, this little YouTube about best moments from presidential debates, it's pretty good. It's kind of funny. That can be found in the session as well. Hit materials, English 10, second semester, and as always, scroll down. Here we are, Unit 7 debate. You can see, guys, here's the breakup of the sessions. Basically, what I've done is I've said, okay, spring break kind of comes in the middle of session 3. So we'll do half of session 3 before spring break, then take your break for spring break, and then that Monday and Tuesday after spring break, you'll wrap up that session 3. So we click on that. That'll bring us to Unit 1, Session 1 debate. Here's the recommended timeline. As always, check this out. If you're doing the deal of the century, hey, take a look at this. Preview curriculum, live session, begin the prelude. Again, we've got the prelude. We've got the power of debate with ethos, logos, and pathos. Those are the two main assignments. And then the discussion board, you want to, as always, kind of scatter throughout the week. Here we go, real quick overview. You see the welcome page. Here's the setting the stage, the prelude. On that one, you'll be looking at an example debate and answering some questions about it. Again, power of debate, we've chatted about this already. This is where you'll be looking at ethos, logos, and pathos in example debates. And here is the discussion of really looking at those example debates and assessing who won. I think it's kind of a sort of an interesting exercise. After reading example debates, choose a couple of the topics and make your choice basically on which side won the debate. So in a nutshell, that's what we are looking at for the discussion. Let's take a real quick look at the power of debate assignment. It's the most complicated one of the week, but still not super challenging, I would say. Basically, what you will be doing, first of all, check out, again, this real quick YouTube clip with some example debates. Sorry about the jumps in screen size here, guys. I hope this isn't throwing everything off too much. I'm looking at my other screen to make sure it's loaded. All right, it's loaded. As always, next button. The next button is your friend. Okay, so here we go. Here are the steps. Check out these documents below. You'll see that for each of the arguments, there's an affirmative and a negative. So we've got cyberbullying affirmative, cyberbullying negative. We've got plea bargaining affirmative, plea bargaining negative, and so on. It's same with WikiLeaks. So you need to read each of these. You can either download them or you can just click this view and it'll open in a separate window. As you read, think about what it would be like to research and write an argument like these. And guys, these are examples from real high school students. This is work that high school students have done. On your own document, you will be then explaining how your two chosen arguments, so out of all 6 of these that you read, choose 2 of them that you think were compelling or interesting or exciting or whatever. Choose those and explain how they use ethos, logos, and pathos to make a compelling argument. Please be sure to include examples, and you want to use point evidence analysis. So in a nutshell, that's what we're looking at. That's probably the most time-consuming assignment this week, but it also relates to the discussion board as well. So if you do this, I think that you should be able to go to the discussion board and knock that out quite quickly after that. All right, so English 10, it is just about time to roll out. Can I help anyone with any final questions here before we move on? Josh, good question. Correct. You do not have any live session questions this week. So you've watched it, you've taken some notes, and you should be ready to roll. Cool. All right, guys. In that case, English 10, you are ready to roll out of here. Guys, as always, appreciate your hard work. Thanks for coming along, and keep in touch. As you know where to find me. Hey, Cameron, welcome.